So then, brethren, we are debtors, not to the flesh, to live according to the flesh. For if you live according to the flesh, you will die. But if by the Spirit you put to death the deeds of the body, you will live. For all who are led by the Spirit of God are sons of God. For you did not receive the spirit of slavery to fall back into fear, but you have received the spirit of sonship. When we cry, Abba, Father, it is the Spirit himself bearing witness with our spirit that we are children, children of God. And if children, then heirs, heirs of God, and fellow heirs with Christ, provided we suffer with him, in order that we may also be glorified with him. Romans chapter 8, verses 12 through 17. A common parody of drama class is someone asking, "What's my motivation?" The notion of a self-absorbed, self-important would-be actor not understanding how he needs to deliver his lines is cliché nearly to the point of being banal. Yet it remains a question that gets asked. And perhaps a question many ask of ourselves more often than we might care to admit. It is a question perhaps many should ask of ourselves more often than we might care to admit. What is my motivation? Why do I write and produce Peter's Proverbs? Why do I write and produce All Facts Matter? Why are these things important? The easy answer is that I write Peter's Proverbs because I want to share my view of the good news that is the gospel of Jesus Christ. The easy answer is that I write All Facts Matter because I want to provide an alternative to corporate media propaganda by grounding analyses of major news events in facts, evidence, and data. These things I do want. Yet that is not the complete answer. Another part of the answer is that I want to be known for my writing. Writing is my profession. Writing is what I do. I take writing seriously. I approach my writing seriously. I address my writing the way I believe a professional writer should. Against which the question must naturally be posed. So what? Why do these things matter? Why is it important that I view these weekly sermons with a professional eye? To be sure, this is fundamentally a sermon. I could stand in front of a church congregation and deliver this with confidence and conviction. Perhaps someday I will. But why does that matter? Why is it important that I view my various analyses and commentaries on major news events with a professional eye? To be sure, I will put the quality of my analytical work up against any journalist or commentator anywhere within the media landscape. I could go head-to-head against a Tucker Carlson, a Piers Morgan, a Dave Rubin, a Ben Shapiro, an Alex Berenson, a Jordan Schachtel, or any one of the many independent journalists and podcasters that make up the ever-evolving world of independent journalism, and be confident that I could hold my own. Perhaps one day I will. But why does that matter? I could easily claim that this is how the Holy Spirit moves me, and that therefore this is what I am called to do. That would be a most convenient claim, that I am coincidentally called to do the very thing that I want most to do. The more cynical of secular thinkers might be forgiven for considering such a claim to lie somewhere between hogwash and horse hockey. Or perhaps the reverse is more accurately the case. I want most to do these things because I am called to do them. The desire is thus an indication of the calling, regardless of any corrupting ambitions for personal fame or personal glory. Should we not approach those things to which we are called with a sense of joy? Arguably we should, as Psalm 100 calls us to do exactly that. Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the lands. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come into his presence with singing. If we are answering God's call to us, why should we not be filled with joy? Why would our hearts not thus be lifted up when we do what he has decided we should do? It is certain that Jesus taught his followers during the Sermon on the Mount that answering God's call was to glorify God. This is why he said to let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. So if answering God's call is a celebration of God, then surely it is fitting that we approach that call with a sense of celebration. Surely it is not merely appropriate, but essential that we embrace that call with joy and with gladness. Surely that is how we may enter into God's presence, with singing. Why is that important? Because this is how we come into God's presence. Answering God's call is how we commune with God. We meet people where they are when we hear what they say and respond. We meet God where he is when we hear what he says and respond. What God says is his calling to us. How we respond is how we answer that call. If I want to come into God's presence, I must answer his call. And that is my motivation. That is what is important. That is why what I do is important. What I do is what brings me into God's presence. My prayer is that I will always be mindful of God's call, and that I will always hear God's call with joy and with gladness. My prayer is that I will respond to God's call also in gladness, that my heart will sing when I enter into his presence through my responding to his call. My prayer is that I will celebrate God by celebrating his calling to me, and that I will truly glorify God in all that I do. My prayer for you is that you will hear and be mindful of God's call to you. and that you will hear that call with joy and with gladness. My prayer is that you will respond to God's call also in gladness, and that your heart will sing as you enter into His presence through your responding to His call. My prayer is that you will celebrate God by celebrating His calling to you. And so you will truly glorify God in all that you do. What we do is important. What we do is how we respond to whatever mission to which God has called us. What we do is what will bring us into God's presence, into personal communion with God. That is my motivation. To enter into God's presence with singing. Thank you for listening, and God bless you.